Okay, cool. We're up to that test on Aleph, and we're discussing over here the why the second base of Migdash, the chamber is called Lifshut Parhedin, because the officers kept on rotating all the time, like the low-level officers, versus the more, the aristocrats. They were more permanent. Says the Gemara. And the test of Aleph, about 8 lines into the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Chanan Rabbi Yechanan, Rabbi Chanan said Rabbi Yechanan, Ma'idich see there's a pasuk Yidas Hashem Teisa Yamim. Those who fear Hashem will add days, and Shneis Shayim Tiktzerna, and the years of the Shayim Tiktzerna will be shortened. So Yidas Hashem Teisa Yamim, that the fear of Hashem will add days. Then Migdash, that's talking about referring to the base of Migdash. Amad Arba Meyes, that's showing 410 years. And in total, how many served? El Yudches Kainim Dalim, a total of 18 Kainim Dalim, according to our version. According to other Shainim, it's 8. According to the others, it's 12. That's what the guy says over there. And there were 12 Kainim, and even though the people themselves weren't so frum, but the leaders were. At least the Kainim Dalim were. The Shneis Shayim Tiktzerna, and the years. The Shneis Shayim and the years of the Shayim Tiktzerna were shortened. That they lasted for 420 years. And more than 300 kainim served. And say mehem, there were a few kainim who were great tzaddikim. Mem shana sheshima shima tzaddik served, and he was from the Shiyari Knesset like Dalit. And we'll see later about the things that happened in his lifetime. Ushmainim Shishim Yechin Gadol served for 80 years. We're not sure exactly who the Yechin Gadol is. We had a Gemara Baruch, some Achlekes, Rav and Abaya. If he's Yana, was he a Rosh from getting there? Who was he? And so on. Who is this Yechin Gadol? Plus, maybe it's Matzio's father, maybe Matzio's son. And he served for 80 years. At the end, he became a Tzduki, which L'chayda doesn't mean he became a Tzduki, because how did he live every year Yom Kippur and Kodesh? But it means that he tolerated Tzduki towards the end of his life, and therefore they attributed to him that he became a Tzduki because he was too tolerant. Esther, the 10 years of Shimon Yishmael ben Pabi, Ba'amila, and we learned about Yishmael ben Pabi that he was a tzaddik, but his entire family were not. But he stood out. And others say, Yud Aleph Shishimish Abelazar ben Charsim. The 11 years Abelazar ben Charsim served, he was an extremely wealthy man. And we'll see more later, he'll be Mechayiv da Ashirim. Anybody who's wealthy and he's an excuse, his wealth, for not learning Torah, they'll say, look at Abelazar ben Charsim, he's the wealthiest man, and yet he sat and studied Torah all the time. Then from here on in, go reckon. You'll see, you work out that it must be, there's so many kainim that they didn't make it more than a year. So if you make a calculation, just with the cheshbon the Gemara brings in, it's only 279 years. You have to do 300 kainim. So Taisus gives in our Gemara actually is not more than 300, but kadav l'shalosh meis. He changes the gifts close to 300, which then means one per year. So there were 279. But we know there were a few other tzaddikim as well, including Yeshua ben Gamla, even though he was brought his way in. The Gemara in Babasa says that Beram Zocher should be remembered in a good way because he introduced all these laws regarding education of our children, and therefore he's remembered. There's the Kimchis, that the 7 children became Kohen Dalim, and they were all tzaddikim, and there were others. And it could be that 2 Kohen Dalim reigned during a year because each one bought their position and outbid the other one and took over and expelled the first one. Anyway, says the Gemara, Amar Yechim ben Tosa says, he was the one that his cow refused to work on Shabbos when he was sold to a guy, and then the farmer told the cow, "It's you no longer belong to Yid. You're allowed to work on Shabbos." So either that Goyish farmer who then was so inspired by the cow that he converted and he became the Rabbi Yechim ben Tosa, the son of a cow, or he was the farmer himself. Some of the Rishonim say. Why was Shile that lasted for 369 years? Why was it destroyed? 2 things occurred. Gila Arayis and Bezayin Kachim. Gila Arayis and Bezayin Kachim. Gila Arayis, the Chsiv says that they were immoral. The Chsiv says that Eli Zokamoid, Eli was old. The Shomer Koshi Asaman Choisol, what his children did to the Eden. That they slept with all the women that came waiting to bring up their kabbanas. And then Eli passed away when he heard that the Oren was confiscated by the Plishtim. Now, Ba'afagav, even though that's Gila Arayis, and he also heard everything he did L'chol Yisrael. 2 Avedas. What L'chol Yisrael will say is insulting the Kachim, and Yishkun Zanashim is Gila Arayis. Says the Gemara, even though we look at Shabbos, the Gemara goes through a number of people that seems from Tanakh overtly that they were accused superficially that they were showing, but actually they did Avedis, and actually Mar says whoever said the sin is making a mistake. Whoever said that the children of Eli sinned, ain't is making a mistake. But show as Kinane, there were no rush when these women came and deposited the money for their twin birds. After they gave birth, and they had to wait to give an oil and a chattis. They had to bring up. And they usually would have been home, but they didn't trust them, so they would wait the day to make sure it was brought up. But they delayed it, so they would have to stay there overnight. They didn't go back to the husbands, they couldn't procreate. So it's as if we could tantamount to they themselves sleeping with these women. As if they slept with. And bezoyin kachim, what was the insult of kachim? The Chiv says, gam beterem yaktinos achelev, even before you by the carbon shlami, most of it goes to the owners, and a part of it goes to the kohen, the chazay, and sheik, and part of it goes to mizbech. So they even before they roasted the fats of mizbech, or bon out kohen, came along this young kohen. Said to the person who was slaughtering it, give me I want part of the meat as well. I don't want the cooked meat, the raw meat. Why do you mind? What do you mind? Let's just put the fats in mizbech. Give Hashem his portion, because in fact, it says that the Tosha says in many places, in other places, and Shabbos, that the Kohanim get their portion and Yisrael get the portion. We're all getting, Hashem's giving us as a gift. So therefore, let's give Hashem his part, and then we'll get our gift. We're entitled to it. Then take whatever you want. You want excess meat, fine. Even though you're not entitled to it. He said, we can't wait. Give it us now. And they were sent them from Chofni Pinchas, Eli's children. If not, we will take it by force. But he chatas anodim gedolim moed ibn Hashem was terrible in the eyes of Hashem. He near to anoshim mincha Hashem because they antagonize these people the mincha of Hashem. Stop this.